How's it going, everybody? And welcome to Trent Plays The Light at the End of the Ocean. This is just a random game I decided to download. I purchased I believe it's called the Ukraine bundle. A bundle of games accumulated by itch.io that was meant to raise money for Ukraine. So I scoured through the 34 pages of games and I landed on this one. I felt like something a little bit more simple, a little bit more relaxed, mostly just a multiple choice visual novel. I was kind of in the mood for that, so here we are. An indie visual novel, much like others I've played before. And yeah, let's get into it. Now apparently it's meant to be a little bit sad, but and it addresses multiple different themes, but nothing overly gory or bad, or nothing, you know, on the levels of Doki Doki Literature Club. No, at least I hope. But yeah, let's begin. And also, I believe it too was made by Ren'Py. Using Ren'Py, sorry. This ocean is a lonely place to be. A vast expanse of nothingness, it seems. But peer into the distance, and you see. Atop an island cliff, a lighthouse gleams. The island's shores, composed of jagged rocks, are treacherous to each small passing boat. There are sailors bound for farther, safer docks. The tower's warning keeps the ships afloat. So on the light, the Keeper spends her days in solitary sleep and wakes at night to shine a beam through ocean fog and haze. Her solemn duty to the sacred light. And through our stalwart Keeper does her best. This morn, a grave mistake has brought a guest. Two women stand on the rocky shore of the island in a light film of rain. The Lighthouse Keeper is stock still, her work boots planted firmly on the ground. Her guest, on the other hand, is perpetually slightly off balance, swaying on the slippery and uneven terrain. In front of them lie several battered planks of wood. Wow, it's beautiful here. You don't think so? Been here a long time, got used to it. Those bits of wood, is that what's left of my boat? Uh-huh. Interesting. It was a wooden boat. Guess so. Was it like a canoe or something? Right, I guess you didn't really see it. I can imagine canoeing. I think that's something I've done before. On holiday, maybe. Not sure why I would do it alone, though. I hope it comes back to me soon. It should. I guess that's all I wanted to see here. What do you want to do now? What can I do? You said, what, 5 days until your supply guy with the boat arrives? Something like that. Do you have some books I could read? Actually, maybe you're not supposed to read when you have a concussion. Any board games we could play, maybe? Later. Got some work to do now. Work? Isn't your job being a lighthouse keeper? What work do you have during the day? General maintenance and things. Right. Well, I guess I'll figure out something. This way. Okay, so I'm assuming, is this just an island with a lighthouse? And the keeper lives here, or is this actually like an outskirts of a, town, civilization? And a woman has a concussion or possibly amnesia after crashing. Okay. They turn back toward the weather-beaten lighthouse that looms over them from an outcropping of rock, and brace themselves to climb the slick stone steps that lead to its old oak door. The light at the end of the ocean. This is a nice cozy little kitchen. I think I might have had an apartment a little like this once. Or maybe I just wanted one. The light is on the top floor, obviously. Make yourself at home. Yeah, I guess I will. Not that I know what being at home is like right now. Okay, now we can choose. Wonderful. Let's explore a little bit. Is this a real wood-burning stove? I don't think I've ever seen one except in movies. I guess it's hard to get electricity running on a rock in the middle of the ocean. Okay, so we are just on a little island. Well, yeah, okay. Fair enough. Blueberry, raspberry, ginseng, sleepy time. There are a lot of different flavors here. That's a tea then. I'm not a tea drinker myself, so I wasn't sure. These must be some of the supply crates the guy in the boat brings. Oh, okay. Let's go. Well, hold on. There's nothing else to do. I'm assuming we can't just wait. Yeah, alright. Oh, bed. Oh, a note. That's definitely not what we should be looking at. Oh, that's some nice looking artwork. Wow, I'm not looking great. Not that I can remember what I normally look like, but I hope it's not quite this bad. Oh, that letter is definitely not our business. This is where I woke up this morning. It's pretty comfortable. Oh, so maybe it's okay then. Okay. February 14th, 2011. Formation Day Tours, Northern Ireland. Oh, that's nice. Oh, and the name. Miara Murphy? Is that what it says? Miara Murphy? What's this doing here? It looks like a ticket for a bus tour. I can't imagine there are any of those around here. Looks like the tour starts at the Europa Hotel in Belfast. The guest peers more closely at the ticket, searching for more information, but the majority of the lettering is illegibly smudged. As she moves to replace the ticket on the nightstand, she feels a sudden jolt of warmth in her fingers when she touched it, and her vision swims into nothingness. Oh? Interesting. Two women step onto a tour bus a few minutes apart. Oh. You can tell it was made in Ren'Py because of how quickly that animation was. The wistful wanderer makes herself comfortable in a seat toward the back. Through the window, she sees the ornate facade of a large hotel. The tender-hearted tourist takes time to examine all of her seating options before approaching the woman in the back. Oh. You're interestingly dressed. Actually, oh yeah, the ripped jean shorts. I learned on the other tour bus yesterday that the hotel was the most bombed building during the Troubles. So I've heard. Yeah, apparently it was one of the few hotels in the city So it was where a lot of journalists stayed, and that's why they targeted it, I guess. My name's Emma. Can I sit here? Oh, it's this lady where actually the good switcheroo. Good job. Sure, I'm Miara. Oh, so this ticket was probably on our person, because I believe it did say Miara Murphy on that ticket. The Wanderer shifts even closer to the window as the tourist takes her seat. Are you traveling alone too? I guess I am today. I'm staying with relatives, but they sent me off on this tour while they're working. The tourist catches a hint of dejection in the Wanderer's tone. Oh, okay, so Miara's the Wanderer, the tourist is Emma, and wonders if they might be able to relate to each other. I was supposed to be traveling with a friend, but then she got sick or something, and got an earlier flight. It's weird, we spent so much time planning to do all these things together. She really wanted to see the Giant's Causeway. And now she's back home, I guess. But she's barely even replied to my messages since she left. It's really weird being here alone. The Wanderer thinks for a moment before replying. She went home because she wasn't feeling well? How far away does she live? She's from Oklahoma. It's a 12-hour flight or something. She must have been really sick. Yeah. Or she really didn't want to spend another minute with me, which is a theory I'm kind of leaning towards. The Wanderer chuckles. Well, I only just met you, but you don't seem bad enough to drive someone out of the country to me. Thanks. The bus starts up, and the driver's muffled voice on the speaker announces their departure for the tour's first stop, Carrifergus Castle. The tourist smiles in anticipation of the journey. So where are you from? Dublin. You? Canada, near Toronto. Dublin was lovely. I really liked how the river ran straight through downtown. My friend and I got fish and chips wrapped in newspaper and sat by the river eating it the first night we were here before everything. Yeah, it's nice. And you said you were visiting relatives? My aunt and uncle. They live in a small town not too far from here. I think it would be nice to live in a place like that, out in the country. The Wanderer stares silently at her companion, as if searching her face for a sign of kindness, perhaps, or a capacity for understanding. Eventually, she finds it. I don't know, it seems a little depressing to me. We went out to a pub and they knew half the people in there, and had to chat with them all. My cousin was worried about how it might be awkward if she ran into one of her students' parents again. She's a teacher. Her and my aunt both. They live together and walk to work together every morning. And my uncle works some kind of let me reread that, goodness. And my uncle works some kind of office job here in the city. He drove me in today and the traffic was awful and the songs on the radio were repetitive, and I don't know how he deals with that as his routine every day. I know what you mean. I don't want my life to become mundane like that either. I guess that's why I try to travel when I can. I don't know if any of us can avoid it though. We have to get a job or else we can't afford anything. And how many jobs are actually interesting? Yo, true spitting facts. How many people are actually happy to go into work and not just silently resigned to it at best? The Wanderer stops herself from continuing her tirade, suddenly realizing that it may have been too much to say to a stranger. I don't know. I try not to think about it. Yeah, I've tried to. The concern and compassion in the tourist's eyes compel the Wanderer to continue, regardless of decorum. I'm not just on holiday. My parents sent me to stay with my relatives because I'm not doing well. My girlfriend broke up with me, and it's been really hard. I guess they think the country air will be good for me or something. Oh. I mean, you told me something personal about you and your friend, so it only seems fair to be honest with you two. After a moment that feels endless to the Wanderer, the tourist responds with a sympathetic smile. Thanks. I mean, I appreciate it. I hope this trip is as helpful as your parents think it will be. This tour sounds like it will be nice, at least. I'm looking forward to seeing the Giant's Causeway. The two women relax in their seats as the bus rolls out of the city. And we're back. I've seen that transition before. Oh, here you are. Work's done for the day. You want a tour of the island or something? Or you could take a look at how the light works. If that's something you're interested in. She looks at the guests expectantly. I don't know. I had a big sip of water and now I can't pronounce things. She looks at the guests expectantly as the guests... come on, Trent. As the guest slowly takes in her restored surroundings. I feel like I just had a dream. Or a vision? I don't know. I picked up this bus ticket and suddenly my hand felt really hot and... Oh, yeah, that's how it works here. You'll get used to it. What? This really isn't a normal island. Hard to explain. You'll figure it out anyway. There's a process to it. Now, do you want to go see the rest of the island, or look at the lights? Interesting. If this island holds mysteries, I feel like we should explore it. I guess I want to go see the rest of the island. Alright, you go on ahead. See you outside. Bus ticket, huh? That one's new. The Keeper joins her guest outside the lighthouse, locking the old oak door behind her. The rain of that morning has finally stopped, but the wind has picked up, and the guest rubs her arms to keep warm. You've already seen the North Shore, where you crashed. This way is the south. She leads the guest in the opposite from the stairs they climbed before. I can hear birds outside. They have to be across the road on the fucking grass right now. Down a much shallower slope toward the opposite shore. Not really much to give a tour of, is there? It's a pretty small island. Yeah, well, still pays to know your way around. You must know it pretty well. How long have you been here? Don't know. What? You don't know? That's a joke. It's just been a long time, and it's not very interesting to talk about. Right. These birds, bro. These birds. I don't know if you can hear them. I'll do my best to edit them out, but they are annoying me. I'll try to come up with another conversation topic. So what do you do when you're not working? Huh? Seems like you must have a lot of spare time here and no one to talk to. Unless you get a lot of idiots crashing their boats. If the job's done properly, no one ever crashes. Right, sorry, it was just a joke. But you must do something in your spare time, right? Like, do you read? Yeah. Well, what's your favourite book? The Sign of the Four, Arthur Conan Doyle. Oh yeah, Sherlock Holmes, right? Yeah, that's a classic. Before too long, they arrive at a rocky shore similar to the one on the other side of the island. The only notable difference between them is that rather than a smattering of pieces of wood on the rocks, this side has a neatly constructed dock stretching out into the water. This side of the island is much safer for boats to dock. So this is where the supply guy will turn up. Maybe. It depends on which side of the island he's coming from. And over there is the archive. The archive? The guest turns to where the keeper is pointing and sees a small cottage, half embedded in the hill so that it's barely visible from the other side. Archive of what? You can see when the archivist? Archivist. Say archivist. When the archivist gets back. Should be soon. It's getting late, though. Time to turn on the light. Oh, sunset came quickly. Hang on. I thought she said this side was the south. The guest sighs and follows the keeper back up the hill, the disorientating sunset at her back. Yo, true! This island is whack. Oh, that was a pretty animation. In the middle of the night, the guest stands in the kitchen, sipping a glass of water as she looks out the window at the dark blue sea. She strains her eyes to catch a glimpse of distant boats each time the rotating beam of the light from above sweeps by. Oh, you startled me. Aren't you busy with the light? Just refill the reservoir now. It's fine. Did you come for a glass of water too? I'll grab you a... No, it's alright. As the two women reach towards the cupboard at the same time, their hands brush against each other for a moment, and the keeper leaps away as if she's received an electric shock. Are you okay? The keeper disappears without a word, leaving the guest alone in the darkness. Sorry. When the guest's anxieties eventually allow her some sleep, it is fitful and haunted by strange dreams. The only detail she remembers upon awakening is an image of two giants locked in mortal combat, while balancing on basalt columns rising out of the sea. That and a glimpse of a man with a scepter and a wide-brimmed hat, giving her a quizzical look and stating, "You shouldn't be here." The strange man dissolves as the guest is awoken by footsteps coming from above. Half asleep, she hears the keeper muttering something nonsensical to herself as she passes through on the stairs. I'd like to go out there and tell that snake-obsessed creep that his golden sandals look stupid. Always showing up here just to... Too tired to be curious, the guest rolls over and goes back to sleep, awakening again, later to sunlight flooding the room. She stumbles out of bed and looks for the Keeper, reasoning that company, however standoffish and strange that company may be, is preferable to solitude in this bizarre new world. Hello? Not here either. Maybe she's outside. What the hell? The guest struggles in vain to open the lighthouse's towering oak door. I'm locked. I'm locked in. Why would she... What? Why would a lighthouse need a door that locks from the outside? What the... She begins to search the room for any hope of escape. Oh, interesting. I don't think any of this would be any different. Different key. No key. Nothing in the crates. Yeah, there's literally no other option but upstairs. Okay. If I stay here, there's nothing to look at, though. Okay, up we go then. Nothing under the pillow or anything. This is that bus ticket from yesterday. What was going on then? She didn't drug me or anything, did she? I wish I could just look in the mirror and then find what I'm searching for in my pocket. Is that a reference to something? Why do I remember that? The only thing I can relate it to is Harry Potter. Let's keep going up then. Ooh. If she was going to hide a key, it would make sense for it to be in her room, right? Well, may as well look. Oh, attic. Oh, let's look at everything else first. This looks really old. I wonder who those people are. Maybe her grandparents or something? Seems like it was taken at a party. As the guest examines the photograph, she feels a familiar warmth in her hand, and loses sight of her surroundings again. Uh-oh, we're gonna get caught in her room! What the fuck? Wait a moment. Okay. A distressed debutante stands on a balcony, struggling to light a cigarette with shaking hands. From inside the house, a brooding bachelor calls her name. Rose. Rose? Oh. Okay, so it's almost like she's getting visions and stories of the things she touches and like visualizes. Okay. The bachelor emerges onto the balcony. He stops short of joining the debutante at the railing, instead lingering by the door. There you are. Are you alright? What do you think, Edwin? She addresses him without turning around. I'm so sorry, Rose. I was going to talk to you soon. I just wanted everyone to have fun tonight, like old times. I didn't mean to upset you. But you know I can't marry you, Rose. And why not? You know what I am. Of course I know that. I've known you were in love with Cecile ever since you first introduced me to him. The way you looked at him. But what does that matter? The man takes a step towards his friend. I can't change, Rose. I didn't expect you to change. I thought we could be happy, in a way. Happier than some couples I've met. You could be happy with a man who can't love you, not in the way a husband should. Plenty of women's husbands don't love them. You would at least like me. We'd have each other for companionship. But you could be so much happier than that, Rose. You could find someone who really wants to be with you, who... The debutante whirls around to look at the bachelor in the eye for the first time. You think it's any easier for me? You think I'm any different than you? I know you are. You love me, don't you? But you're the only man I've ever... Everyone else has. I know it doesn't seem that way now, but if you love me, you can love another man someday. You can be happy, Rose, so much happier with someone else. Besides, I was caught up yesterday. Oh. A single tear escapes the woman's eye in the heavy silence. But you'll fight it, won't you? What's the use? They haven't let any of us escape from it so far. But you won't go to war. You can't, No, I have another plan. I've been thinking about it a lot, really. But I'll tell you later. Come back to the party, Rose. It might be the last time we all see each other for a long time. The woman makes an earnest attempt to smile as her friend leads her back into the house. Are you ready to... There you are! What the hell is going on? Sorry? Why did you lock me in the lighthouse today? And what's happening with these weird visions? Are you causing them somehow? The guest advances on the Keeper despite her disorientation. No, it's just... You were locked in? The Keeper stands her ground, apparently unconcerned by her guest's aggression. Like some kind of prisoner. That shouldn't have happened. Damn right it shouldn't have. No, it wasn't intentional. Things just happen here sometimes. You've probably noticed that already. I've noticed this place is really weird, yeah? You must have been really worried when you were locked in. Yeah, I was. Where were you? Just walking around the island. Sorry, you weren't supposed to be locked in. Didn't mean to. Well, thanks, I guess. The guest lets go of some of the tension in her body, but not without some lingering wariness of her companion. You still haven't seen how the light works. No? Want to do that then? You're not even going to explain... Yeah, why do I even try? Of course you're not. There is a process to how things happen here. Trying to explain prematurely won't help anyone. It will all make sense before you leave. The guest shakes her head in resignation. I guess all I can do is take your word for it. Please. Yeah, whatever. You seem genuine enough. I just wish... It doesn't matter. Show me the light. Thank you. Go ahead. Me there. Why would he lock her in? What's the point of that? What an awful... The Keeper arrives at the top of the wooden ladder to see the guest marveling at the giant lantern that dominates the room. Outside the panes of glass that make up the walls, the sea, now much calmer than it was during the previous day's storm, stretches out into the distance. Wow. Yeah, nice view. The light, too, it's such an interesting shape. The ridges and things make it easier to see from far away. I wonder how far. But somehow I didn't see it. At least I can't imagine I did. Why would I have crashed if I had seen it? You didn't. It wasn't on. Malfunctioning. Oh. Well, that gives me a little more confidence in my booting ability then. It should always be on at night. It was a terrible mistake. Well, if it malfunctioned, that can't be anyone's fault. That's bound to happen once in a while. And I survived, so seems like everything's fine, right? I'm sure I'll recover from the concussion soon. Yeah, you will. The sky outside the lighthouse begins to darken and change colour with the first hints of sunset. Seems a little early for the sun to go down. Then again, I thought the same thing yesterday, so maybe I'm just bad at keeping track of time. It's always earlier than you expect here. What do you need to do to make sure the light is working? Keep an eye on the paraffin levels in the reservoir. Checked that earlier. And then pump the air container regularly to keep the fuel moving and burning. How often is regularly? Once an hour or so? Once you get used to it, you can tell when it's time. It must have been hard to get used to that at first. Did you learn from another Lighthouse Keeper? Something like that. What do you mean? It's complicated. Hard to explain. Oh. It's getting dark. Time to get all of this stuff working. I'll offer to help. May as well while we're here. Do you need any help with it? No, but thank you for offering. No problem. I guess since I don't know what to do, I'd probably just get in the way. It's not that, it's just... Maybe you can learn another time, if you really want to. Sure, if I'm hanging out here for a while anyway, I might as well make myself useful. You don't need to work to be useful. Well, have a good night. You too. The guest glances at the sunset through the glass once more before descending to her bedroom for the night. Okay, that's 2 days past. Yes, it's very ominous. The Keeper gazes out at the ocean from top of the tower, her face illuminated unevenly by the glow of the lantern. Her eyes remain fixated on the horizon, even as soft footsteps reach the top of the ladder next to her. Oh. The Archivist. Honey, I'm home. Not your honey. Aw, play along. You're the closest thing I've got. How are things with your guest? Fine. Fine? Really? Alright. Awkward. And she keeps asking questions there aren't any good answers to, of course. Why don't you just explain things to her? That's not the way it's supposed to go. There's a process, yeah, I know. So what, you think you're going to get in trouble if you make things a little easier for her? What do you think he would do to you anyway? Considering what he's done already, don't much feel like finding out. Right, I keep forgetting how much younger you are. You haven't had nearly as much time to get used to it, the way things are for you and me. Can't imagine that ever happening. Aw, it's not so bad, especially when you have a cool neighbor. Huh. And when someone interesting to talk to comes by every now and then, like this guest of yours, the reason she's here, the only reason for anyone else to be here makes it pretty hard to relish the opportunity. You need to get way less hung up on the whole life and death thing. You'll go crazy placing so much importance on it here. It's not just death, it's... Okay, maybe it's still too soon for you to relax about this stuff. But still, have you talked to your guest much? A little. Showed her around. Did you ask her anything about herself? Her hobbies and interests? Well, there's the amnesia problem to contend with. That doesn't mean she's forgotten everything. I bet she could still recall some interesting stories to you. If you asked, why not give it a try? She'll be gone in less than a week. So enjoy the time you have. That will only make the end so much harder. Alright, I get where you're coming from. But the poor girl must be so bored. Why don't you send her to visit me tomorrow? She might like exploring the archive. Maybe I'll have some little tasks for her to help out with or something. You're not too busy? I've got all the time in the world. Night, sweetheart. The archivist winks and disappears back into the shadows. She leaves the Keeper alone with the light and the ships in the distance, hundreds of them, approaching the island at a slow but unrelenting pace. The guest wakes early the next day. Her dreams, no doubt influenced by the day of the previous morning, centered around being imprisoned in bare, isolated cells. Several variations on that theme haunted her throughout the night, in between periods of waking. The one that snuck her the most that took place in a bare white room. No, the one that struck her the most took place in a bare white room, an incessant beeping the only soundtrack to her futile attempts to escape. Unsurprisingly, her first thoughts upon regaining consciousness are to question the validity of the Keeper's claims that she was only locked in by accident. She feels a mounting anxiety as, moments later, the Keeper descends the stairs. Oh, you're awake already. Yeah? You want breakfast? There should be a couple of eggs left. I'm not hungry. Okay. Oh, she's gone. Oh, she's back. Renpai does that sometimes. Oh, almost forgot. You remember the archives? Yeah? The archivist got back late last night. Thought maybe you'd like to visit her, since you don't have much to do around here. Wait a minute. Yeah? She was gone, and she just got back? Doesn't that mean she has a boat? Oh, yeah? Why? So, why do I have to wait for the supply guy in his boat, then? Couldn't I leave with her? Oh, right. Well, her boat... It's not... It breaks down a lot. Probably wouldn't work. Of course, another reason I can't leave. The Keeper hesitates at the top of the stairs for a moment, apparently unsure of what to say, before ultimately settling on a terse 4 words. Have a good day. Yeah, you too. The guest grips the windowsill and stares out at the empty ocean, hoping to avoid arousing the Keeper's suspicions by waiting a few minutes before leaving. When she can take the tension no more, she races down the steps of the lighthouse, past the remains of breakfast in the kitchen, and down the hill toward the mysterious archives. Hello? Anyone there? No one seems to spend much time actually inside their homes here, which is pretty weird considering how few places there are to go. At least this door wasn't locked. Guess I'll look around, better than going back up there. Well, I'm curious of the sign. It says, Leave Island Archives. Well, at least I have something to call this place. Can't say I've ever heard of it, though. Then again, maybe I have. Well, that's down. Let's have a look around. We got a door. We have a stick. I wish I had a walking stick like this. It would make hiking around here a lot easier. For hiking. A raincoat must be an important thing to have here, judging by the weather when I first arrived. Before we go down, what's in the door? Oh. Through the door or downstairs? There's gonna be a dead body in the basement. Oh. Shit. Well, you'd imagine... Okay, I don't actually know, but would archives be kept on a different floor? I don't know. I haven't thought this hard about it. Let's go downstairs. Oh, a study! You love to see it. Wow, this is a pretty big book collection. Oh, The Sign of the Four. I think I remember enjoying that book a long time ago. As the guest opens the book, a gust of wind with no discernible source blows through the pages, and she feels her hands growing hot again. Oh, wonderful. Am I entering Sherlock Holmes? It takes a moment to recognize the woman reading on the garden bench as the distressed debutante. She has more color in her cheeks and a contented expression that never came close to gracing her features that night on the balcony. Yet, just as in that other moment out of her life, a bachelor soon approaches her, his brooding tendencies more muted, but nevertheless visible in the world-weary way he surveys his surroundings. Wow, there's a lot of big words. Good afternoon. Enjoying the party? The debutante looks up from her book, slightly annoyed at the intrusion. I was, yes. So hiding from the rest of the guests and reading a book really is your idea of enjoying a party. In fact, it is, so if you don't mind, I'll get right back to it. What are you reading? The bachelor flounces onto the other end of the bench, and the debutante flinches. At this exact moment, nothing, because I've been interrupted. The bachelor opens his mouth to speak, then closes it again. He knits his brows. I'm sorry, I'm being terribly rude, aren't I? This direct admission of fault catches the debutante off guard. Well, perhaps a little. My apologies. To tell you the truth, I was finding the party dreadfully boring, and I thought you looked like you had the right idea of avoiding it. Talking to you struck me as much more of an interesting way to pass the time than going back there. But of course, you have no obligation to speak with me if you are not so inclined. Good day. The bachelor gets to his feet. Wait, you don't have to leave. I was a bit taken aback by the boldness of your approach, but I would be happy to have a conversation partner as well. I've just finished a chapter anyway. Oh, you don't mind then? No, please, sit. The bachelor smiles and retakes his seat on the bench. I'm Edwin Knight. Rose Nardovino. Nardovino? Is that an Italian name? Yes, my grandfather was Italian, but my family has been in England since before I was born. And it's the Sign of the Four. That's what I'm reading. Ah, that's one of Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes novels, isn't it? Is he still writing those? I remember hearing about the great detective's celebrated return from the dead when I was a young lad. My mother quite enjoyed reading the stories in the Strand. Yes, I didn't start reading them until recently, but they're very entertaining. I've heard Doyle might serialize a new novel soon. Well, I hope you enjoy it if he does. I can't say I'm much of a mystery reader, though. What genre do you prefer? I prefer stories that are more stark and realistic, I suppose. Descriptions of the struggles of daily life, without things wrapping up nicely in the end. Well, to each his own, but I prefer to read as an escape from the struggles of daily life. Understandable. The real world does seem a bit too bleak lately. Indeed. Edwin gazes at the flowers in the garden, deep in thought. Alright, here's a question for you. What would your perfect life be like? If there was nothing to hold you back, what would you do? Rose responds to her companion's query with a quizzical expression. I'm sorry, is that an odd question? No, not at all. I mean, it's much better conversation than I'm used to from the suitors my parents introduced me to. I suppose a beautiful woman like you has many suitors? Unfortunately, yes, but they're all dreadfully dull. If you could forget about them then, they would never bother you again and your parents didn't have any expectations of you, how would you spend your life? I suppose... Rose ponders for a moment. I suppose I'd like to be a lighthouse keeper. Edwin cocks his head to the side, intrigued. A lighthouse keeper? That sounds like a lonely experience. Perhaps, but I like the peace and quiet, and I like to help others. I wish I could have a useful career of some sort, doing something beneficial. Lighthouse keepers are important. They keep ships from crashing into the rocks. I think that would be perfect for me. A job where I could be helpful, but I also would have a great deal of time alone to read my books and think. Well, when you put it that way, it does sound like a nice life. And what about you, Edwin? What would you do if you were free of the fetters of society? Edwin leans in conspiratorially. Well, first, I would throw a lot of parties, and I wouldn't invite anyone who's at all boring or irritating. No matter what anyone else says about who's important and with whom I'm expected to make connections, it wouldn't matter what race or religion or social class my guests were, as long as they were intelligent, interesting people. And we'd all get together to have a few drinks and talk about our opinions on, well, everything. Literature, philosophy, politics. We might disagree, but we'd all be polite about it and stay friends. How very idealistic. I might like to attend those parties of yours once in a while, when I go on vacation from the lighthouse. You would be certainly welcome. You would certainly be welcome to. I think that's one too many bees there. Rose and Edwin look into each other's eyes, but both of their minds filled with dreams that, for just one moment in the garden, feel like they could be real. But almost simultaneously, the two new friends remember what is possible in their lives and what is not. I should go. My father absolutely detests me slipping away from social gatherings, so... yes, you're right, we should both go. Well, right. Edwin immediately drops back down onto the bench. I'll wait a few minutes. We wouldn't want anyone seeing us returning to the party together without a chaperone, would we? No, we would not. Rose turns to walk away. Rose. It's Rose Nardavino, isn't it? She stops in her tracks. Yes. I will call on you one day, if your father will allow it. You are unlike any woman I've ever met before, Rose. She smiles, the spring breeze gently blowing through her hair. And you are unlike any man I've ever met before, Edwin. God, that transition music gets me. Oh, hello there. The first thing the guest sees upon returning to consciousness is the archivist coming down the stairs. Whoa. You okay, honey? The guest doubles over with sudden peals of laughter, prompting the archivist to gingerly approach. Anything I can get for you? Some water, maybe? It's just... I don't know why it's so funny, it's just... The guest struggles to regain her breath. I don't know why I was so startled. These past few days, everything that's happened to me has been totally insane, and I felt somehow detached from it. The first thing that made me jump, that made me react like a normal person, is suddenly seeing a stranger in the doorway. And you're not even much more of a stranger than she is, and I just accepted having her around somehow. It just hit me all at once, I guess, how weird everything is. How weird I am for the way I've been dealing with it all. The archivist pats on the guest's shoulder. I don't think your behavior is particularly strange, not when you have the concussion, and... Do I have a concussion? Of course you're not gonna answer me either, of course. The guest laughs again, more sardonically this time. The archivist waits for her to finish before affecting a smile. Would you like something to drink? Tea? Coffee? The guest sighs. Fine. Tea would be nice. The guest follows the archivist upstairs into the bedroom. The archiver busies herself in a small corner kitchenette as the guest sinks into the oversized pink couch. Do you want any milk or sugar? A little bit of milk, thanks. The guest's earlier burst of manic energy has left her as suddenly as it arrived, and she finds herself simply staring at the wallpaper, losing herself in its pale patterns, until the archivist slides a cup and saucer into her hand. Thank you. Feeling better now, honey? A little. The smell of a nice pot of tea always makes me feel better. Did you want to ask me some questions now? I mean, I'm not supposed to answer too many, but I'm less of a stickler for the rules than certain other people. The guest shakes her head. To tell you the truth, I don't know if I'm ready for what I think the answers would be. I understand. I guess there's one thing I can ask. What's your name? Is that allowed? Your friend calls me Ellie. My friend? The Lighthouse Keeper. She's not my friend. She cares about you, you know, but things are complicated for her. Everything feels pretty complicated for me right now, too. I know. But hey, that's why I'm hoping I can cheer you up a bit. I'm a lot less of a downer than her, promise. What do you feel like doing once we're done our tea? What do you feel like doing once we're done our tea? With our tea, I'm pretty sure it's meant to say. You could look through my little library for a good book to read. Oh, or you could help me out with some filing downstairs. Maybe you'll catch a sneak peek of some scandalous secrets. What do you say? Scandalous secret? What the fuck what are you offering me? I would rather read, but I feel like that's going to put me in another vision. But the archivist seems more polite. And, like, she could probably tell me more. I guess we'll look in the archives. I'd be happy to help you out in the archives for a while. Great. Well, we'll sit and enjoy our tea, then we'll get right to it. Once the tea has cooled down enough for the guests to take a sip, it occurs to her that Ellie never asked her what kind of tea she wanted. But somehow, she seems to have been able to choose something that almost brings a happy memory to the guest's mind. It dances just beyond reach, a tantalizing connection to her previous life, as she drinks from a china cup in the ghastly pink room. Later in the afternoon, Ellie drags an extra chair out of the corner of the basement and arranges it by her desk. There, now we can work together. The guest takes a seat at the desk, now next to the row of filing cabinets. What do you want me to do? Well, if you don't mind. The archivist bends over and drags a large cardboard box out of the same corner. My sisters dropped off all these files a while ago, and they're completely disorganized. Because, of course, all the work they have to do is way more important than filing, right? So, I was hoping you could help alphabetize it all. Alphabetize? Is that a word? Hopefully, at least most of it will be in file folders, just not in the right order. And if you come across a loose piece of paper, it should have the name of the file it's supposed to be on top of. Supposed to be on top. Does that sound okay? Sure, I can do that. Great, thanks. Ellie takes a file out of one of the cabinets and sits down at a desk with it. Next to her, the guest takes out one of the many files of the box on the ground. It's fairly thin, only containing a few papers. The tab on the top reads Wolf. Marjorie. She can't resist sneaking a peek. After checking that the archivist seems absorbed in her own work, the guest surreptitiously slides one piece of paper out from the file. Considering the strangeness of the existence of these archives and everything surrounding them, the guest was expecting something equally abnormal in the files. But everything she feels she can get away with reading seems to be entirely mundane information. Name, date of birth, gender, marital status, and so on. Something that looks like details of dreams Marjorie person had once catches the guest's eye, but at the same time, the archivist looks up to retrieve another document from a drawer. The guest immediately begins rearranging files with vigor. Alphabetically by last name, right? Yep. So this will be near the bottom. Okay. Got it. Just going to keep organizing files. She takes two more files out the box. Carson, Deborah, and Martinez, Alberto, and begins an alphabetical pile on top of Wolf Marjorie. With Ellie's attention diverted back to her own papers, the guest makes one more attempt to glean some information about these people whose information she's been handling. And upon opening Deborah Carson's file, she notices something slightly strange. The birth date listed would put Deborah at around the guest's age, at least as far as she can remember, but an enclosed picture shows an elderly woman. Eyebrows knitted, the guest closes the file again. She slides a few more into their place in the alphabet without looking inside, fighting against the urge to ask Ellie about the incongruous picture, but potentially satiating her curiosity, but also admitting to her transgression. As the pile on the desk grows larger, she compromises with a decision to ask a more general question. So, can I ask who these people are? Ellie doesn't look up from her work, which appears to be jotting down some numbers on the file she took out from the drawer. There are no one in particular. What? There's no reason why you have all these files on people? This time, Ellie stops writing and gives her guest a reassuring smile. I don't mean to be secretive. Sorry, I know you've been getting enough of that already. I mean exactly what I said. There's nothing especially significant about the people in the files. It's essentially a random sample of all currently living people. That box is, at least. Then what's it for? Ellie taps her pen against her chin. Call it a demographic survey. My sisters and I collect information on people, and we use the information we have to make predictions about living conditions in the future. Or something like that. Do you have a file on me in there? She wonders what might be in her own file. Details about a murky past? A photograph of how she looks without facial injuries? Or a photograph of someone else? We might. It's not likely. Ellie turns back to her work. Too bad I wouldn't know what name to look for. The guest sighs and returns to her alphabetization. I'm learning new words. I didn't even know that was a thing. Sorry, I know it's not the most interesting work. You know, I don't actually mind it that much. You'd think just putting things in alphabetical order would be a bit more monotonous, but I've always found it kind of satisfying to get everything neat and organized. I'll make you a nice dinner as thanks later on, okay? Okay. The two of them spend the rest of the afternoon working alongside each other in companionable silence, and the guest makes no further attempts to examine the files, although she isn't sure if it's out of fear of being caught or a fear of what she might find. As you can tell, my throat is getting a little bit more hoarse, but it's fine. Once the files from the box are organized and sorted into the right drawers, the guest leaves the archivist to her work and heads out to the beach. She sits down and watches the water as it laps against the shoreline, and then recedes back out to the sea. The pattern has a relaxing effect on her, and a while later she finds herself wondering how much time has passed. As she dusts the sand off her clothes and heads back to the archives, she sees their owner rushing out the door. Oh, there you are. I'm sorry it's gotten so late. And I said I would make you dinner. You must be starving. Oh, it's okay. I was just watching the ocean. It's peaceful. I only just realized, how similar the jawline is. I kind of hope, it's you, or something like that. It's interesting, okay. I like to do that too. Still, I would hate to go back on a promise of food. I can start dinner right now if you want. The offer awakens a hunger in the guest that she hasn't felt since she arrived on the island. Well, if it's not too much trouble... Tell you what, I'll run to the lighthouse right now and tell that sourpuss up there that you're hanging out with me for the night. I'm sure she won't complain about having more time to sit around by herself, practicing angry faces or whatever she does. That is, if you want to stay here for the night. I just think it might not be safe walking up that hill after dinner in the dark. And I have plenty of pillows and blankets. It'll be a sleepover. The guest weighs her options, sleeping in the cramped archives alongside this bubbly, talkative stranger, or in the cold lighthouse under the watchful eye of the other one. It doesn't take long to come to a decision. Sure, a sleepover sounds fun. Great, be back in a bit. She races up the hill, hair streaming behind her in the sunset. Once night has fallen on the archives, the guest watches as their proprietor fashions a collection of pillows and blankets into some kind of nest on the basement floor. The room's tall bookshelves cast long dark shadows in the limited candlelight. I would really be fine with sleeping on the couch, you know. But this is way more fun. It's like a real sleepover. Ellie blows out the candles before flopping onto one of the two makeshift mattresses and gesturing for her guests to do the same. Sorry, it just looked weird the way the picture went whoop. Sorry. Okay, fine. There you go, right down, that's fine. And this is nice, look at this. The guest sinks into her bed for the night and finds it surprisingly comfortable. Ellie grins as she shifts some pillows into their ideal position. I used to do this with my sisters all the time when we were young. We would wait until we thought our parents were asleep and then sneak into each other's bedrooms to lie on the floor together, telling jokes and stories. Of course, our mother would always catch us because our giggling was so loud. She tried to teach us not to be afraid of the dark, but that wasn't the problem. We weren't scared of being alone in the dark, we just preferred to be together. How many sisters do you have? 2. I'm the middle one. It sounds nice, having sisters you're close with. Yeah, it is. I mean, we disagree sometimes. We're all pretty different. My older sister is really cynical, and my younger sister is much more optimistic. And I always kind of end up mediating between them. But we never stay angry at each other for long. That's good. Now that her eyes have adjusted to the darkness well enough to see Ellie's face, the guest finds herself scrutinizing her features, wondering what her sisters might look like. I wish I could tell you something about myself or family, but that's okay. You can tell me a story instead. I don't remember any stories either. Then make one up. I don't think I can make up a good one. Come on, please tell me a bedtime story. The guest laughs. Okay, fine, I'll try. No guarantee of quality, though. Ellie pulls her blanket up to her chin and looks at the guest expectantly. Once upon a time, there was a giant. There was a giant. Oh? Actually, there were 2 giants. They lived across the sea from each other. One of them challenged the other to a duel, so they built some rock columns into the water so that they could fight on neutral territory between their homes. And then, the guest sighs dejectedly. What? I don't know. I remember that, I think, but I can't remember how it goes. I don't know if they fight, or if one of them runs away. Make it up then. What would you do? If I was a giant. Yeah. If I was a giant, I guess I'd be strong enough to fight another giant. But if it was me, I'd run away. You wouldn't at least give it a try? Fighting a giant on a bunch of rocks in the middle of the ocean? I'd fall off and drown if the giant hadn't crushed me already. You sound like my older sister. I think a human might have an advantage against a giant. You could dodge quickly and maybe climb up onto his back. In theory, maybe someone could do that. Not me, though. You never know until you try. Are you threatening to make me fight a giant? No, I don't know any giants. Not anymore, anyway. I'm going to sleep. Your jokes make me tired. It's not a joke. My aunt was a giant. I really am tired. Okay. Good night. The guest rolls onto her back, looking up at the stone ceiling of the archives. For a moment, she imagines that she can see right through it. Oh, pardon me. All the way to the canopy of an unfamiliar constellations above. Thanks for letting me stay here. I feel a lot more comfortable here than up there. The guest turns back to the archivist and sees that she's already half asleep. A silver of moonlight shining through the basement's small windows illuminates her face, framed by her long hair spread out across the pillow. Good night, Ellie. That night, the guest dreams of an infant visited by 3 women in long flowing dresses. In the middle of the 3 is dressed in white. The middle of the 3 is dressed in white. She smiles as she lifts the child into her arms and looks into its round, unblinking eyes. To her left, a radiant woman in blue also gazes lovingly at the child. To her right, a stern woman in green remains a step back, her face partly obscured by shadow. As the woman in white extends her arms to offer the child back to its nervous mother, the scene fades and the guest wakes up. She's back on the floor of the archives, where Ellie had been sleeping. There is now only a disheveled pile of pillows and blankets. Shivering in the chilly basement, the guest wraps one of her own blankets around herself before ascending to the main hall. Hello? Ellie? As she raises her hand to knock on the bedroom door, something catches her eye. There's a note attached to the inside of the front door, in ornate, looping handwriting. Gone fishing. Back soon. Alone again, of course. She sighs and looks around. Guess I'd better try to find something interesting to do. Well, hold on. Okay, we can go back down to the archives and, properly snoop this time. Or we can go into her bedroom. I kind of want to snoop. I'm fucking dead set curious. There are a lot of files in here. Here's one for Walker Emma. Born August 9th, 1989 in Brampton, Ontario, Canada. Oh! Emma! The redhead one. It rained the day she was born, and for 3 days afterward. She will be kind to others, but too hard on herself. She will encounter many shipwreck-bound souls. She will try to help them, but she will not always succeed. What is this? Maybe I should just put it back. It feels weird looking at all this personal information, if that's even what it is. Sus? This is one of those fancy globes that has bumps for the mountains and things. Oh, that's all, thank you. There's nothing else to... I don't want to read another book, to be honest with you. Let's have a look. Oh, it's just this room. Oh, okay. Oh, the 3 sisters. Oh. Ah, okay. What a nice old-fashioned painting. It looks really realistic. These 3 women seem to be sewing something. One of them is unspooling the thread, and one seems ready to cut it. Is that Ellie in the middle measuring it? It looks a lot like her. Yo, I think it might be... Wait, hold on, another door? Are the blankets a book? I don't know how many shots I get at touching things, so... door. it's this door. Fuck. Fuck, I've pranked myself. Okay, what is this? Oh. Oh? Oh, that's back. L. A necklace with an L on it. Is this because L sounds like Ellie? Or did I just assume she called herself Ellie when really it's L? What's this doing here? It looks like one of those old wristbands they give you at big events, or hospitals. Just like the bus ticket the guest found in her bedroom, most of the letters stamped onto the wristband are smudged and blurry. She does manage to pass a few details, that the patient was a 23-year-old woman, born in 1988, but just like with the bus ticket, a warmth soon emanates through her fingers. I'm in hospital. I did too many drugs back there. The wistful wanderer lies on her back in a hospital bed, enclosed by an undwarfed off-white walls. Unfocused shadows come and go from the room, as the unrelenting cycle of time casts changing patterns of light on the wanderer's haggard face. The shadows' whispers echo and layer over each other, a cacophony of fear and misunderstanding. I thought she was seeing a therapist. Why didn't that help? She was so excited about going back to university. I thought she was doing well. Why would you do something like this? Why didn't you tell us something was wrong? What did we do wrong? I never thought this was serious. How could I have known? Did I fail her? How can we help if you can't tell us what's wrong? Can't you at least try to explain it? Why won't she talk to anyone? Does this have something to do with that friend of hers? How hard can her life even be? She can't stay here forever. What do we do? What can anyone do? Why don't you go stay with Aunt Mary for a while? It's nice and relaxing out in the country where she lives. It'll be good for you. I'm home. As the surroundings spin back into focus, the guest hears Ellie's voice ringing out from the hall and opens the bedroom door to greet her. Ellie poses triumphantly in the doorway, a bright pink fishing rod in one hand and 2 fresh fish in the other. Wow, you really went fishing. What, you thought I was lying? It just seems like a surprisingly normal thing to do in this place. Ellie shrugs. For me, this place is normal. Come on, let's go cook them on the beach. Ellie escorts her guests to a small fire pit in the sand. They make themselves comfortable on a makeshift driftwood seats, half buried by years of erosion. As Ellie struggles with a packet of matches, the guest looks out over the dock. No boat. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Huh? Ah, there we go. The archivist grins as the fire begins to spread from the kindling. She tosses 2 fish onto the grill. You don't have a boat. Ellie turns her gaze in the direction of the guests. Oh, well, it seems like I don't. What do you mean? It comes and goes. I have a boat when I need it, and I don't need it right now. Right, makes total sense. The guest slumps down as much as she can in her unconventional chair. Hey, you doing okay? Yeah, I guess so. Okay as I can be, I mean. I did sleep pretty well last night. Better than the 2 nights before, anyway. So, thanks for that. No problem. Having a sleepover was fun. Yeah. Think you'll head back to the lighthouse tonight? I don't know. If you want me to, I won't keep bothering you here. But being there was frightening sometimes, and when it was less frightening, it was just awkward. I know you said that she cares about me, and there are some mysterious reasons she can't explain things to me, but I can't talk to her. She barely says anything. She's so cold and aloof. And do you know she locked me in the lighthouse one morning? I mean, she says it was an accident, of course. Just like she says it was an accident that my boat crashed on this island, where it's her job to make sure that doesn't happen. That was my fault. What? Ellie's sudden declaration startles the guest out of her tirade. It was my fault you crashed. I'm so sorry. I asked her to help me in the archives. I had some heavy boxes full of books and files, and I hurt my shoulder a while ago, so I asked her to help me move them down the stairs. She said yes without even thinking about it, because, honestly, that's the kind of person she is. She cares so much about helping other people, even if it doesn't feel that way to you. But it took longer than we thought it would, and you must know by now that sunset comes early here. It's always earlier than you think, especially if you let yourself get distracted. When she realized it was dark out already, she sprinted up the hill to the lighthouse, faster than I've ever seen her move. And this was in the middle of a thunderstorm. I was so worried she would slip and fall in the mud. But she was too late. By the time she made it up to the light, you had already crashed. The guest looks on in confusion as the archivist tells her tale, even while smoke from the fire in between them obscures the archivist's expressions and irritates the guest's sensitive eyes. I was the one who found you first. I carried you up the stairs to the lighthouse. You were so cold. She had come running down from the top of the tower too, once she had made sure the light was working. In between ragged breaths, she asked me if you were okay. I put you down in the bed and asked her if she wanted me to stay to keep an eye on you, and she said it was fine. She said I needed to rest because my shoulder must be in pain from carrying you. She said she could take care of herself, and that's what she did. All night she would check the light upstairs, then check on you downstairs, and do the same thing again. I'm really sorry, it's my fault you're here. I'm the one you should be angry with, not her. Her story finished, the archivist turns her attention back to the fish on fire. The guest sits unmoving in deep contemplation. She breathes in the smoke and the scent of the fish, somehow unlike anything she's ever smelled before. She thinks about the days she spent on this strange island. First with the close-lipped but apparently courageous Keeper, and then with the affectionate, potentially absent-minded archivist. She looks at the woman on the other side of the campfire, tending to the fish she caught herself for the two of them. I'm not angry at you. This is not your fault. I'm not angry at her either, but I don't know if I'm ready to go back just yet. Is that okay? The archivist smiles on the other side of the smoke. Of course. We have things to do after lunch anyway. You wanted to find a book to read, right? I'll help you with that. Okay. But first, I think the fish are ready. Let's head back and eat inside. The two women leave on the beach, the ashes of the fire behind them, and an afternoon of pleasant conversation ahead. One thing they've done really good here with the writing is the anticipation of, like, a betrayal or anticipation of, like, something bad happening. But they've been really good at subverting expectations. I think that's it's the way. Subverting expectations, I think that's the proper terminology for it, but they're doing really good so far. I'm quite intrigued by everything. A while later, Ellie leads the guests down into the basement, looking more closely at the bookshelves than she did the previous day. The guests noticed how chaotic they are, with many books lying on top of others or sticking out haphazardly. So, I swear they were organized alphabetically by author's last name once. But then I kept getting new books, and sometimes there was no space where they should go alphabetically, so I just had to kind of stick them wherever. You know how it is. And then one time I moved all the shelves out of the walls so I could clean all the years of dust back there. Man, that was gross. And I put them back in the wrong order by mistake. And by the time I noticed that one section of the alphabet was totally in the wrong place, I didn't want to move them all again. So maybe you could just tell me what kind of books you like, and I'll see if I remember anything good. You probably won't stand much of a chance of finding what you're looking for by yourself. Well, that would be easier if I could remember what kind of books I liked. I guess maybe mystery? I have a vague recollection of reading a bunch of Sherlock Holmes when I was a kid, maybe. Mystery it is. Let's see, what do I have? Ellie peruses the shelves, a look of intense concentration on her face. What about... No. You know, I'm not all that picky. You could probably just grab something decent and I'll give it a try. Not like there's much else to do on this island. No, you said you like mysteries, so I'm finding you a mystery. I want you to have a good time here. Aha! She pauses in front of the shelf towards the far corner. Here's the beginning of the alphabet, and here it is. Without warning, she tosses a weathered paperback to the guest, who fumbles but manages to catch it. The Moonstone. Wilkie Collins, 1868. One of the first detective novels that established a lot of the conventions of the genre. And up here is... This time the guest anticipates the flying book and catches it more deftly. Surfacing, Margaret Atwood, 1972. So you've got a nice range of time periods there. This one's about a woman searching for her missing father. Oh, and if you want one more to consider... Ellie returns to her search for a few minutes while the guest skims the back of the two books she already has. There we go. Careful, this one's a hardcover. Ow! The guest manages to keep her perfect record of catching the books, but not before this one strikes her in the stomach. The English Patient, Michael TJE. Fuck, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. Underjet. That's what I'll go with. 1992, and not really a whodunit or anything, but there's plenty of mystery and intrigue. Any of those should be a good read, but hey, if it turns out you were totally wrong and mystery isn't to your taste after all, just let me know. You might have noticed, but I have a ton of books. Thanks. Do you know which one you'd like to try first? Ooh. I don't know. I've already forgotten most of them. I'm gonna go for the middle one, because there wasn't a funny name, and it's not the oldest. Oh, just noticed the name. It's probably about surfacing from a fucking ocean. Oh, great. I think I'll try surfacing. Oh, this one might be my favorite out of the three. I hope you like it. Ellie hands the guest her chosen novel with a big smile. If you want to start reading now, feel free to relax on the couch in my room, or enjoy the nice weather while it's still light out. I have some work to do down here. Wait, I have some work to do down here, I presume. But I'll come up and talk to you later. Okay, thanks. Feel free to yell if you need anything. The guest nods before ascending the stairs out of the archive, book held firmly in hand. Later, as the first hints of the island's early sunset streak across the sky, a knock at the archive's door startles the two inhabitants out of their reading. Come in, we're in the bedroom. The front door swings open, followed by that of the bedroom. The keeper shuffles in, looking down at her bedraggled boots. Evening. Hi, honey. I'll be right back. I was just about to take care of something downstairs. Talk amongst yourselves. The keeper chuckles. Must be something very important, and definitely pre-planned. Definitely. The keeper remains standing near the doorway, a wide distance between her and the guest on the couch. What are you reading? Surfacing. It's about a woman in an isolated place with a lot of water trying to solve a mystery. So I can kind of relate. Do you like it? Yeah, it's pretty good. And it's been nice to have something to do to pass the time, other than just wandering around, wondering what's going on here. Yeah. Sorry about that, it must be hard for you. Yeah, it is. It really was an accident the other day when you were locked in. Sorry it scared you. Thanks. The keeper moves further into the room and takes a seat on Ellie's bed. Did you have fun here? Yeah, Ellie's really nice. We had a sleepover in the archives and cooked fresh fish for lunch today. The keeper nods. She is an astonishingly kind and cheerful person. She's very bright and energetic. I don't know how she does it all the time. And she says that her younger sister is even more of a constant optimist. I find that hard to imagine. Oh, that's actually true. Chloe's level of positivity is almost absurd. You've met both her sisters? The keeper nods. Known them all a long time. Well, not that long by their standard of time. What do you mean? How old are they? Not sure exactly. Much older than anyone lives on Earth. Really? I guess that makes sense. You're not too surprised? Just one more in a line of strange things that have happened to me over the past few days. I think I've gotten used to it. The keeper reacts with a look of sadness and sympathy. Sorry that you have to get used to that, to the way things are here. No one should have to. It's okay, you've apologized a lot already. So these three, in the back in that picture, they're all much older than you'd think. Okay. The keeper shifts slightly, leaning closer to the guest. If you want to come back to the lighthouse tonight, if you're comfortable, there's some good food for dinner. Oh yeah? How good? I did have some pretty delicious fish for lunch today. Well, maybe it won't quite live up to your elevated standards now that you've spent time with the real chef on the island, but you should come. As the guest looks to the keeper's earnest, apologetic eyes, Ellie skips back into the room. Hello, I am done with the thing I was doing. Did I hear you mentioning going back to the lighthouse for dinner? Sounds like a great idea. I hear there's good food. Don't worry about me, I have many things to do, so many things. The guest laughs. Okay, Ellie, I'll head out now then. Thanks for letting me stay with you, it was a lot of fun. No problem, thank you for all your help with the filing. I'll come visit you soon. Bye, enjoy your dinner, you two. The Lighthouse Keeper and her reinstated guest slip out the door of the archives and ascend the hill to the lighthouse as the sun sets in the south between them. Behind them, sorry. Dinner turns out to be pancakes with maple syrup. The guest is surprised at the departure from standard dinner fare, but she can't deny that the keeper's promise was accurate. The pancakes are delicious. Is this what you normally have for dinner? No, just felt like it would be a nice change. It is nice, thank you. You're welcome. In spite of their recent reconciliation, the guest and the keeper consume most of the meal in silence, interrupted only by the scrape of cutlery against plates. Immediately after swallowing her last bite, the keeper rises from the table. Better check on the oil levels. At the guest's interjection, the keeper turns back. Her cold gaze almost discourages the guest from asking the questions on the tip of her tongue. But then she summons her strength and resolves to give it a try. Those visions I've been seeing here, you know all about those? That's normal here? The keeper nods slowly and warily. I won't ask why I've been seeing them or how it even works, but I just want to know. Am I right that they're the memories of people on this island? Can you confirm that at least? The keeper takes a deep breath before speaking. Yes. The guest nods as if in understanding, even though this answer has simply raised more questions she would rather not consider. She shivers. The keeper remains still and silent at the bottom stair, her eyes fixated on her nervous companion. The guest steels herself to seek just one more answer, the one she finds least frightening. The woman on the balcony and in the garden. Is that you? The balcony? There was a party. She was upset, and a man came out to comfort her. And then in the garden, Edwin. For a moment, the guest thinks she catches a glimpse of an expression she's never seen before in the keeper's face. Sorry, that was my mouse I rattled. Some kind of nostalgia mixed with melancholy and regret. Yes. My name was Rose. Rose. The oil. She whirls around and rushes up the stairs to the light. Grasping the edge of the table, the guest lowers herself back into her seat. She closes her eyes and struggles to endure the throbbing pain in her head that began when she stood up to address the Keeper, and grew in intensity with each question she asked of her recalcitrant roommate. I need to Google what that means. Rose. The guest dreams of Rose that night, not as she knows her now, but as she saw her in the visions of the past. She stands on the south beach of the island in a storm not unlike the one that brought the guest here, her long hair soaked through the rain, but still blowing in the wind. It's hard to tell with the rain already running down her face, but she might be crying as she watches a small boat recede into the distance. Descending the stairs in the morning, the guest finds her host looking as different from how she did in the dream as possible. Her short hair is neatly tucked behind her ears, and she smiles peacefully while sipping a cup of tea. Morning. Want some tea? Sure, thanks. After opening several cupboards in search of a mug, the guest pours herself a drink from an unadorned porcelain teapot on the counter. What kind is this? I notice you have a lot of different flavors. Blueberry ginseng. Ellie says ginseng is really good for you. Ellie does seem to be a tea expert. An overpowering blueberry smell makes the guest momentarily worry that the tea will be too sweet, but upon her first sip, she discovers a much milder taste than she was expecting. It simply tastes warm and comforting. Across the table, Rose takes another sip of her own tea and sighs contentedly. She looks so much less intimidating than usual that the guest wonders if this might be a good opportunity to ask her another question. Oh, hello. Her past, what she wants to do, or when the man with the boat will arrive. Oh, look. Amnesia is a bad thing, but you still need to get home. I am a bit more curious about her past, if I am to be honest. Rose. I was wondering if I could ask you a bit more about those visions I saw. Like, what did Edwin mean? No. She slams her mug down on the table. Oh, I made a bad choice, didn't I? No, I'm sorry, but I can't talk about that. If you're bored enough to try making conversation with me, there are better options to pass the time. Rose takes a deep breath. There might be some board games in the cellar. You could play with Ellie if you want. Oh, that sounds nice. And I'll show you how to get down there after you finish your tea. The Keeper, her face returning to a placid mask of neutrality, lifts her mug back to her lips. The guest looks on in silence, still unsettled by their exchange. I made a bad choice! Oh well. It will get cold, you know. That's one rule that does still apply here. Right. The guest takes another sip of her tea under the Keeper's scrutinizing gaze. Later, Rose leads the guest around the back of the lighthouse, where a rusty metal door is embedded in the ground. The guest momentarily wonders how they will move such a heavy barrier, but Rose deftly hoists it open with a creak. Beneath the hatch, stone steps extend into darkness. The guest peers down wearily. Are you scared? No. I'll go first and light the lantern. She disappears down the stairs, and shortly after, a warm flickering glow welcomes her guests down. The room is much cozier than its exterior would suggest, although it lacks anywhere to sit, cluttered as it is with years' worth of unnecessary objects. As her host rummages through a cupboard below the stairs, the guest scans the shelves ahead of her for anything eye-catching. Oh, look at this. Boxes. Are these more crates of food? Oh, probably. When things I don't like get delivered, I just put them down here. There's usually enough of other things to eat that I don't need them. It looks like these crates are almost entirely filled with cans of beans. I hate beans. Beans. That looks like the board game, but I think box. What's this? It's full of papers and file folders. Must be Ellie's then. She stored some things down here a while ago when she was cleaning and reorganizing the archive. Can I look at it, please? Oh. The Mansion of Happiness. Hey, this looks like a board game. The Mansion of Happiness. It's covered in dust. How long has it been since you played a board game? A very long time. I'm not even sure if that one is mine. There have been other Lighthouse Keepers. Well, I don't see any other ones down here, so let's give this one a try. The guest examines her surroundings as she emerges from the cellar, dusty game box in hand. Huh? You alright? Yeah, it's just... That was easier than I thought, I guess. Told you that place wasn't scary. No, that's not it. I thought... She strains to remember what was going through her mind before she descended the stone steps. Hadn't she expected something in particular to happen? What was it? Never mind. Let's go inside and take a look at this game. Later that day, the three players arranged themselves in the game board on the floor of the lighthouse's guest room, chosen as the optimal spot to play because of the lack of third chair in the kitchen. The keeper fidgets with the game piece while the guest reads the rules. So it says each of us need 10 counters. Looks like they're the currency. That must be what these little paper squares in here are for. Ellie enthusiastically dumps the bits of paper out of the box onto the floor and begins dividing them equally. Oh, and an extra counter with the initial of his or her name, or any other letter or number judged most proper for distinction. Good thing I always have a pen on me. She withdraws a thin black pen from her pocket and marks one of the paper squares with a large flourishing letter L before passing the pen to Rose. Rose knits her eyebrows for a moment, then takes a deep breath and scrawls a blocky capital R on the paper in front of her. She thrusts the pen towards the guest, who simply stares at it, the rule sheet clutched in both hands. She places the rule sheet down and takes the pen gingerly. I'm not sure what to write. Oh. Right. Well, it does say any other letter or number judged most proper for distinction, doesn't it? So it can be anything. What do you judge the most proper letter or number for her, Rose? She beams as she addresses her friend by name. How about 3? Because she's the third person to write something down? That's not very creative. Think of something better then. It's okay, I can just be number 3. The guest brings her pen toward the paper, but Ellie grabs her wrist to stop her. No, I'll come up with something good. Oh, I've got it. You can be G. G? Because you're our guest here. That works, right? Sure. The guest smiles and writes down the letter. I still think 3 would have been fine. Well, she's G now. So how do we play? The guest scans the rule sheet. We spin something called a teetotum? This. Rose holds up the spinning top with numbers around the edges. And then we just move according to the number we get, I guess. And the rules have some more specific things to go with the squares we land on too. Then we can figure it out as we go along. Why don't you go first, Rose? Sure. She sets the teetotum spinning on the floor. It lands on a 2, and she moves the counter with the letter R on it to the corresponding place on the board. It says piety. What do I do with that? The guest consults the rules. Whoever possesses piety, you get to move 6 more spaces, I think? Rose complies and slides her counter forward to a blank space marked with the number 8. Nice! I'll go next. She spins the teetotum with vigor and it careens across the floor, forcing her to get up and retrieve it. I got a 3. Aw, there's nothing on the square for 3. Boring. She slides her counter to the blank space with a dramatic sigh, then passes the teetotum to the guest. This time it stays in one place, but she seems to spin for longer than it did the others. The guest watches, feeling slightly dizzy as it wobbles and slows, before eventually landing with the number 6 on top. She slides her paper counter, labelled with the letter in lieu of a missing name, along the board. The water. She peers at the rule sheet in search of instructions, the words swimming in her unfocused eyes. Whoever comes to the water, number 6, must pay 1 for being ferried over and go to number 10. Oh. That's one of those 10 counters we got, I guess. She drops one of the black counters back into the box it came from. I think I've played this game before. And as the guest reaches for the piece of paper that represents her once again, her fingers brush against the illustration of a boat on the board. She springs back, willing the warmth spreading through her hand to dissipate and let her enjoy this afternoon. But her vision is already fading. The distressed debutante and the brooding bachelor lie sprawled on a familiar beach, waves lapping at their feet and raindrops caressing their faces. The debutante's eyelids flutter open first. She struggles to her knees and examines her surroundings before shaking the bachelor's shoulder. Edwin, are you alright? He rolls over to face his friend. Rose? Oh, thank heavens. Rose, where are we? Edwin stands and turns in a circle, surveying the rocky shore. Rose gets to her feet as well, brushing the sand off her dress. I don't know. I seem to have forgotten. I feel as if I've forgotten a great deal of things. So do I. A bit troubling, isn't it? He smiles despite the circumstances. A bit. But you know, I feel rather content, really. You're alright, and we're here together on this lovely beach. I don't even mind the rain much. I think I see a lighthouse up on that cliff. I'm sure the Keeper can help us if we can find our way up there. Oh, a lighthouse. I've always wanted to go to a lighthouse. Yes, I remember that about you, I think. Edwin sets off in search of a way up the cliff, and Rose falls into step beside him, a grin on her face. Do you? What else do you remember about me? I remember that you're a loving, caring person. Is that so? And what else? That you enjoy mystery novels, and going for long walks, and that you're You're what? He stops still upon noticing the stone stairs leading up to the cliff. Well, you're my best friend, aren't you? Come along. Looks like we can go up this way. Hello? Anyone in there? We're a bit caught in the rain out here. For lack of an answer, the bachelor heaves the door open and ushers the debutante inside. Hello? Anyone? We don't mean to intrude. Rose squints up the stairs, looking for any sign of inhabitants. It's awfully dark in here, isn't it, Edwin? Yes, come to think of it, I didn't see the light on from the beach either, which seems strange on a dark and rainy day like this. Perhaps it's abandoned. Her voice betrays enthusiasm at the prospect. What will we do then? Tired from the walk up, he sits down and rests his arms in the layer of dust on the small kitchen table. His friend joins him, eyes aglow. Do we have to do anything? We can stay here. Stay here in an abandoned lighthouse of uncertain location? Well, why not? It seems safer than setting out on our own when we don't even know where we are. Besides, someone needs to keep the lighthouse running for the ships. We can figure out how to do that. I think I read some books on the workings of lighthouses once. I have a general idea of how to do it. So we spontaneously become lighthouse keepers? And what about when whoever's supposed to be in charge of this place arrives? Then they help us get back to wherever we came from, I suppose. But we don't need to worry about that now. Let's explore the rest of the lighthouse. She leaps up and tugs at his arm. Well, alright. I do somehow have the sense that I wanted to escape from something. I don't feel in much of a hurry to get back home and find out what. I feel the same way. This place seems safe somehow, safer than what I'm used to. Even though I don't remember what I'm used to. Isn't that strange? Everything is strange at the moment, but I can't say that bothers me at all. Then let's go. Giggling, the debutante drags the bachelor up the stairs as the rain drizzles down outside the lighthouse. It's nice and cozy, isn't it? Oh, this is a weird PowerPoint presentation. I told you I could figure it out. Oh, lyrics! Edwin, are you alright? Is this an original song? quite pleasant. Isn't this island beautiful? I'll see if I can find something to eat. That will make you feel better.
I don't want you, baby, and you don't want me.
Rose? Rose. The scene shifts to find the debutante at the top of the lighthouse, looking out as a storm whips up the sea into a furor. She keeps her eyes fixated on the waves as the bachelor clambers up the ladder. Rose, do you see that boat that's come ashore? It looks like there are 2 men in it. Yes, they're coming up the stairs from the beach now. Her voice is dreamy and distant. Well, shall we go down to greet them? They must be the help we've been waiting for. No, I don't like the look of them. What do you mean, you don't like the look of them? I don't think we can afford to be picky in our situation stranded here on a... Rose whirls around to face him. Stranded? I thought you liked it here. Liked it? I'll admit it's not the worst place one could possibly be marooned, but... I thought we were happy here. Didn't we both agree that we had a sense of having been trying to escape something before? And now that we're here, we're safe. Rose, We can't stay here forever, Rose. We must have a home to go back to, even if we don't remember it. And this place is strange, unnatural somehow. Don't tell me you haven't noticed it too. I don't know what you mean. Rose's voice trembles and she turns back to the window. Time doesn't move like it's supposed to. The days seem shorter than they should be. Not than they should be. Sunset always comes so early. Maybe it's winter. And there's also the... He pauses, searching for the right words. The visions. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you do. Sometimes an object will catch my eye. Something that I haven't seen before, that doesn't belong where it is. And when I touch it... A thunderous pounding on the door reverberates throughout the lighthouse. Edwin is startled, but soon recovers his composure and turns back toward the staircase, a look of feigned neutrality on his face. Shall I go let them in, then? No. In one sudden movement, Rose flings herself onto the trapdoor, blocking his exit. Don't go. Just ignore them. They'll... Another, more urgent knock interrupts her, but she shouts over it. They'll go away eventually, and then we'll be free. Free to live here, to be happy together. Edwin shakes his head. Live? Rose, in the last of these visions, I saw the 2 of us in my old office together. We were each composing one of 2 separate, similar letters to our families. They both started the same way. By the time you read this, I'll be... No, I don't. You're not... It's not real, it's just... I don't think we're free to live anywhere, Rose. Here? He opens his arms for an embrace. When Rose turns away, he circles to the other side of her and grasps a hold of her shoulders. Oh. She relents, leaning her head against her friend's chest. The knocking at the door ceases for a moment, and the only sound she can hear is the rain beating against the glass of the lighthouse. I don't remember very much about you, Rose, but I remember you used to say you liked to feel my heartbeat. Yo, this is getting suspicious. So it is the Keeper that's the sus one. The guest's eyes snap open. She finds herself lying on the cold, hard floor of her bedroom. But it's dark now, and all traces of the board game are gone. Hello? Ellie? Rose? The more her eyes adjust to the darkness, the more everything about the room seems unfamiliar. Oh no. I can't interact with those. What are... Oh. I remember these clothes. These are my clothes. That's right. I've been wearing Rose's clothes all along, haven't I? I don't look any better than I did last time. It's like my wounds aren't healing. Why aren't they healing? I'm a little worried about touching this again, but what else can I do? There must be something I'm supposed to find here. This is different than before somehow. I remember it used to be more smudged, so I couldn't even see most of the information. Now there's a name. Miara Murphy. I don't like that name. Oh, spooky. Oh, the door. Oh, yeah, fuck all those. Door. Give me the door. It's locked, of course. Is there not... Oh, what the fuck is... Someone ripped up the labels and stuck them back together to spell different words. Oh, great! I think this used to be blueberry, raspberry, ginseng, and sleepy time. Now it says blood, remember, giants, and suicide. Great! The food crates are here, but they're all empty. Huh? That sounded like something falling onto the table. What is this? Some kind of coin? Was that the door? The guest opens the door and for a moment sees a different cliff outside. Not the one that the lighthouse should be on, but one that looks familiar all the same. Then the doorknob burns the palm of her hand, and another scene on that cliff materializes. The wistful wanderer and the tender-hearted tourist stand on the trail at the top of the cliff, clutching their jackets against the cold wind. A few other small groups of tourists mill about behind them on their way up or down the path. Great view, huh? Yeah, it's nice. And it was a funny story the bus driver told about the giants. Which version of the ending do you like better? The one where Foyne wins the fight, or the one where his wife disguises him as a baby? I think the baby one's pretty funny. Yeah, me too. The wanderer stares vacantly out at the horizon. The tourist looks over the wanderer's shoulder, but fails to figure out what caught her attention. You know, there's actually a pub near where I live called Foyne's McCool's. I always thought it was just a funny name. I had no idea it came from that legend. Yeah? Yeah, it's a pretty good pub. The wind whips through the two women's hair, and the wanderer's gaze never shifts from that fixated point where she sees something the tourist cannot. Alright, well, I'm going to head to the bottom and see those columns. You coming? You go ahead. I'll be there in a bit. Okay, I'll see you there then. The tourist takes one more look at the wanderer as she heads down the trail, but she can't think of anything to say. Her eyes still focused on the sky, the wanderer approaches the edge of the cliff. A single raindrop falls into the sea. When the guest opens her eyes again, she's lying in her bed in the lighthouse. It's the keeper looking over her. Rose? She struggles against a weakness that seems to have permeated her body, but manages to sit up. What happened? Can you walk? I think so. Then come upstairs. I need to keep an eye on the light, but there are some things I think I can explain to you now. The guest shakily gets to her feet. And suddenly, they're already there, looking out the lighthouse's vast windows at a brilliant sunset. What? How did we... Things are getting blurred here, even more so than usual. The passage of time, the line between dreams and reality, everything. That happens here, more and more as our time runs out. What do you mean? Rose fixes her eyes on her guest. What's your name? Can you tell me that? The guest finds herself nodding. It's Miara, isn't it? I don't know why I didn't figure that out before. It seems so obvious now. That's another one of this place's idiosyncrasies. Figuring things out can be difficult. It's nice to finally meet you properly, Miara. A hint of a smile grazes the keeper's lips before she turns back to the window. Thank you. Ask me any questions you have. Now that we both have our names, it should be easier for me to explain. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to me now? Miara's voice cracks as she asks the most frightening of her questions. I'm sorry, that's the one question I still can't really answer. I've never been further than this lighthouse. I know that most souls move on to somewhere else. Yo. It only just hit me. Is this like the bridge to the afterlife? Like, are all these people and all the archives, are they all of people that have died? I mean, stupid me if I didn't catch that a long time ago, but I feel like they're kind of spelling it out for us here. I truly hope that it's somewhere good, but I can't make any promises. What is this place? Why am I here? Well, Rose takes a moment to collect her thoughts. Wow, they literally just spelled it out for me just before I figured it out. It's a place in between life and death. I'm sure you figured that part out already. It's not the only one, of course. I only work here, so my knowledge of the rest of them is limited. But in my understanding, there are many islands like this one. And there are also many other waypoints that are entirely different. It depends, more than anything else, on what exactly brings you out of the world of the living and into this one. Miara knits her eyebrows. Is it suicide? Is that what brings people to islands like these? Like these? That and other deaths that are somehow self-destructive, I believe. If the light goes out, the boats that carry their souls crash, and they end up here. Wow, that's... so the... oh, wow. That's... sad. That is sad. Like the lighthouse knows when it's time, so it'll go out, so someone will crash here. And if it doesn't? Rose shrugs. They live on, I suppose. Maybe they recover from their problems and die some other way instead, and end up somewhere else. I've never known very much. I'm only one Lighthouse Keeper. And finally, what happened to you and Edwin? Where is he now, and how did you end up staying here without him? Rose sighs and looks down at her work boots. How much do you already know about when we were alive, and what brought us here? Oh, if you couldn't tell, my throat is at its ends meat, but I feel like I'm about to finish the game. Well, in the first vision that I saw, I think he had just said that he didn't want to marry you. Because he was gay, right? What do you mean? He liked men? Oh, yes. Is that what you call that now? Miara nods. I had been dishonest with him. He thought that I was like him, that we were both gay. And well, I thought I was too before I met him. I had only ever been attracted to women my whole life. But I loved him too. He thought that it would be a good idea for us to get married in order to keep up appearances for the rest of society, while truly having a platonic relationship and enjoying each other's companies as friends. And for a long time, I let him believe that I wanted that too. But I didn't. If he had been less perceptive, we could have ended up in a terrible marriage. Me constantly holding out hope that he would one day magically want me the way I wanted him. And under the exact pressure he had hoped our relationship would help him escape. I was a terrible friend to him, and that wasn't even the worst of it. You see, there was a war. I know. And he didn't want to fight. He was so opposed to violence in all forms. He had so much love for humanity. Rose trails off. Oh my god, my throat is really in pain here. Catches a glimpse of the light reflecting off tears in her eyes. before the sun dips lower and plunges her face into shadow. He thought that death was the only way to escape, and I let him die. I died with him, instead of helping him face the future. You can't blame yourself for that. If I had been stronger, maybe I could have saved him. I could have. You weren't weak. You were suffering. I don't blame you. Rose responds with a shrug and a sad smile. Anyway, after we ended up here without most of our memories at first, like you. And when it was time for him to leave, the people in charge asked me to stay. They needed a new Lighthouse Keeper. They said I was right for the job somehow, but I didn't know if that's true. Maybe I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's nothing she can put into words that would abate her gnawing anguish. They're almost here. Rose gestures towards the window, while most of the boats on the water are barely visible in the distance and poised to curve around the island. One swift, small shape cuts a straight line through the waves as it approaches the beach. I'm so sorry, Miara. It's my fault you're here. I failed in my duties as a Lighthouse Keeper. I let someone die. Again. You didn't let me die. No one did. I died of an illness. That's what depression is. It wasn't anyone's fault. But if the light had been on that night, maybe you would have felt better that day. Maybe you would have gone home and talked to someone who could help, or... What? So the light controls my life and my emotions? Are you saying I don't have free will? I don't know. I never really understood it. I imagine only the people in charge do. Well, if we're going with the no free will hypothesis, then maybe neither of us could have done anything. Maybe I was always destined to be here. What a sad fate. As the dark vessel outside draws closer, Rose takes a deep breath. She adopts the rigid posture and stoic expression that characterized Miara's first impressions of her, just one strange short week ago. You should go out to meet them. Miara turns away from the window and examines the woman next to her. They'll be in a bad mood if you make them come up here and knock on the door, and you'll only be postponing the inevitable. The woman who may have been in some way indirectly responsible for her death. The woman whose standoffish nature exuberated the fear and confusion she felt when she first arrived. Keeper. Apologies for the pain and inconvenience this lighthouse has caused you. The woman whom she now knows was dealing with her own pain and fear. The woman who made pancakes for her and a belt briefly sat next to her and enjoyed a board game. A woman whom, under different circumstances, she might have been able to call a friend. Goodbye. But they're not friends. They're simply a reluctant host and a guest, forced together by unfortunate circumstances outside their control. And this opportunity to escape, even if it only brings more uncertainty and confusion, brings an end to their tumultuous acquaintance. With trembling hands, the guest descends the lighthouse ladder for the last time. Two men stand on the slick, rain-soaked rocks outside the lighthouse. The ferryman leads on a tall wooden stick, the rain pounding against the patches of his skin his tattered clothing leaves exposed. The messenger beside him, sheltered from the storm by a thick cloak and wide-brimmed hat, fixes the guest with a speculative stare. "Will you be coming with us after all?" The guest takes a shaky step towards them. She flinches as the heavy wooden door slams shut behind her. "Do I have a choice?" The messenger observes the closed door for a moment before returning his ghastly gaze to the guest. "It appears not. Can you pay?" The ferryman's voice comes out as a hoarse whisper, barely audible against the unrelenting rain. The guest's hand slides unbidden into a pocket and emerges with a single silver coin. The messenger nods in recognition. "Shall we, then?" The silver coin clutched in the sailor's hand. He beckons and descends without a word. The woman stumbles, struggling to stand. Her head in searing pain, her vision blurred. With shaky steps, she makes her way toward the sailor standing ready at the prow. She dares not dream of trying not to board. There's nowhere to escape to anyhow. And as they sail with rough and jerking pace, she turns one final time to see the light, but fails to bring to mind the Keeper's face. Before the crawling fog shallows the sight, and there we leave our hapless guest for now. Unless you think it could be changed somehow. Amazing. Jane Titor. Wow, that was beautiful. That was very nice to listen to. Sorry, I was reading the music there. That's why I said that. No, that game was, yeah, as it said, emotional and a little bit sad. And it gives a lot more credence to the name, the light at the end of the ocean. And although I didn't read them as such, the opening and closing were poems, except I was just reading them not in a rhyming sense, so I didn't mean to discredit that. They were quite nice poems. So, the thing that gets me, though, is that ending. That ending hints towards a different outcome. And from what options I saw, I'm not sure what other outcomes are there. And it's quite curious. Also, fantastic artwork. That was quite beautiful. Oh. I have a feeling that this accidentally is the other ending. Because I think it spoiled it for me by accident. Because there's Rose the Keeper holding hands with Miara. I don't think I was meant to see this, but that definitely appears... Oh, there we go. That definitely appears to be an ending. But there's 3 images locked, so I think there may have been only one alternative ending. Oh! Hints. I won't spoil it for me. I encourage you to check out this game for yourself. I bought it on itch.io. I'll leave a link to it down in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and check out other Trent plays I've done, especially as of late, considering I've played things like The Mind's Eclipse, Paper Lily Prologue, and Doki Doki Literature Club. I am definitely getting more invested into these visual novel style games, and funnily enough, most of them have been made on Ren'Py. And yeah, it's... I don't know, I feel like these sorts of games, I just enjoy more because I enjoy being told a story, although it's harder for me to sit down and merely read a book. I have been enjoying things like this and audiobooks and other forms of storytelling. So if there's any other games you can think of that you think would be good for me to play, please let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe, and check out the light at the end of the ocean for yourself. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.